Okay. Um, ooh, personal statement time.
Oh, all right.
I feel like Kevin the one that has emailed like 100 times about with different versions because we kept putting him off, which sensibly, I mean, yeah, it's good on him. He's like, oh, I updated it. Oh, I updated it.
Mhm.
Oh, you guys still haven't done the thing? Okay, I updated it. So
Yeah,
anyway, um, whose turn is it?
I think you just read that. I
Okay,
guess it's mine. Yeah.
okay.
Hi, Ben and Nathan. I have another updated version of my personal statement. If you haven't recorded it for the podcast yet, please use this one. Your advice is appreciated, especially with the last paragraph.
Probably just cut it.
Yeah, it's out. My LSAT is a 168 and my GPA is a 379. I
Nice.
got a double major in linguistics and Middle Eastern studies at the University of Southern California. I've been practice testing in the 170s and just took the LSAT again today. Fingers crossed.
Nice.
Cheers, Kevin.
That's
Yeah,
the
okay.
thing that's going to really move the needle, man. If that comes back at like a 175, then we're in business.
We are in business.
Yeah, but we're
Yeah.
in business anyway. But we'd really be in business with that.
Okay, this is his personal statement. In 2014, I founded an international NGO that provides emergency assistance to LGBTQ people in the Middle East.
Wow.
Okay, that's big. It's international. You founded something. Let's hope that this wasn't just a solo endeavor.
I love
Um,
that I did this
yep.
impressive thing. Um, International NGOs have lawyers, you know, and
Hmm.
so this is clearly law adjacent, even if what you were doing wasn't a lawyerish type of a thing. Law
Yep.
is big business. This is big business. Um, are you skeptical at all? You are skeptical because you just said hopefully it's not just like a one person thing.
Yeah. I like this. This is gonna knock it out of the park if he can provide evidence that this is like a real thing, as opposed to just someone. People say all the time, "Oh, I started this company." It's like, yeah, but what happened? Did it grow? Did it? Is it just you?
This is what
you
they
know?
call a swing for the fences here. This is I don't know if you've been watching any baseball at all, Ben, but I'm a Dodgers fan and they're playing the
Mm.
Padres right now. And the Padres have this kid, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
Dude swings for the fences. Like he just takes a rip at it. And he hits a
Mm.
lot of home runs. He's a super,
Mm.
super, super stud. He is awesome.
Yeah.
But he also misses wildly a lot. I mean, it's like when you
Yeah.
swing that hard, you're going to be home runs, and there's going to be some wild swing and a miss. So this is either what's one or the other, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's either amazing or it's like, oh wait, you did this in one semester during school, and you were, it was you and a buddy, and that
You
didn't.
help someone who was your friend, and that
Oh,
was
you're
it.
not doing it anymore. It's defunct now. Like that. When we hear that, then it's just like wah wah. Like
Yeah.
good effort, but you made it in the first sentence. You set the stage for like, oh, I'm a badass.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to go down from that. We want to build up and be humble, kind of. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a bold fact to lead with. He better be able to justify it.
Yeah. Okay. So he continues. At the time, my job was developing speech recognition technology at Google. Okay, so a couple things. One, working for at Google is impressive in
I like that he
itself.
mentioned it. I wouldn't like name all of my, people who like just name every firm and every job and
Hmm.
everything in their
Hmm.
personal statement. And it's like, no, we don't need all of those details. But working at Google is like just has an immediate people
Cachet.
know. Like, what about Google's like weird hire? You know how they have those weird interviews and stuff. I don't know
Hmm.
if they actually do that for everybody, but the fact that I know that Google has those crazy interviews makes me think that Kevin did those crazy interviews,
Hmm.
which then makes me think that Kevin is a badass.
Yeah. So this
So
is
I
kind
think
of
dropping that in there is
consistent
great.
with that. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of people work at Google or Facebook and they leave and they go on and do other impressive things
Right.
because it was hard to get there. My only tweak to this sentence was it says my job.
Oh
At the
yeah,
time,
my
my
job was.
job.
No.
No, that's your subject. Why not just say I developed speech recognition technology at Google? That sounds more impressive, even just that small tweak.
Yeah, or maybe even I was developing if it's going to be um, just don't make your job the subject of the sentence. That's
Yeah.
okay.
One day, between meetings with engineers, researchers, and product managers, I received a surprise phone call from my friend Saif in Jordan. His family had kicked him out and threatened to kill him for being gay. There were no local emergency resources available to him. All these sentences are clear, straightforward, they're short. So far, I think this is good. I hope it doesn't turn out to be too much about his friend, but it kind
Right.
of explains the origins, maybe. So I'm willing to grant it for now. While studying Arabic in Amman the previous year, I had gotten to know the controversial openly gay editor of a Jordanian fashion magazine.
A lot of adjectives there.
Yeah,
Take out
controversial, openly
controversial.
gay. Yeah.
Leave openly gay. Take out controversial. We can
Yep.
maybe infer that in this part of the world, being openly gay is controversial.
Yep.
So get rid of controversial.
Yep. I called him up to see what he suggested, and he introduced me to Hassan, a gay activist in Amman who worked with the UN Refugee Agency. Okay. Saif, Hassan, and I developed a plan to support Saif while he finished his degree and have found a way out of the country. What he needed most was cash, so I started fundraising. My first transfer to Saif was for the equivalent of $40, but we were soon able to cover much more. Over the next 20 months, we paid for his rent and school expenses while connecting him to a legal pathway to enter the United States, where he now lives. Okay. I would not use the colon in that way, but I don't think, at least. What are your
It's
thoughts about
well,
this?
no, I agree. I was stumbling. I kind of stumbled over the colon because it just makes the sentence super long.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have doesn't have to be that long? You were writing such nice, clear, short sentences, and now you're getting fancy with the colon, and it's creating a real long sentence. For what purpose? Um, I
Let's
was.
do a new sentence.
This is
Period.
one of the best personal statements we've ever had on the show.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Like not even close. Like it's a
Yep.
clear one of the best we've ever had. Um, which makes it enjoyable to work on, by the way, because let's talk about the idea of my first transfer to Saif was for the equivalent of $40. What's the purpose of including that factoid? It's a nice fact. I get it. You're telling me a story. I can see it two ways. I think what you're going to do is you're trying to say we bootstrapped this from humble beginnings. We were able to do something big.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that startup kind of vibe, right? You're already
Yeah.
in Silicon Valley. You're a founder. Okay, so bootstrapping. I get it. But you already told me that you founded an international NGO that provides emergency assistance to LGBTQ people in the Middle East. And when you then start talking about $40, it, I'm worried that this is going to not turn into the grand international NGO that you have promised me. And when you bring it back to $40, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Is this just a college kid doing this on a semester off? He did an internship at Google and then he, did this thing with his buddy.
100%. I actually thought the same thing. It's like, $40. Because notice this $40 also comes right after the sentence. What he needed most was cash, so I started fundraising.
It's like you're
And
getting money for your buddy, which is just
here,
sort of like, what?
well, also think about this fundraising, and the result of that fundraising was $40. Like, you worked at Google. I'm
You could have
pretty confident you
gave
could
him
just
$40.
you could
You
just
gave him
get 40.
$40.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why did you go through the effort of fundraising if that's all that you were going to send initially? Now, I get it. Maybe you were going to send more, but this is the whole point. Don't talk about this $40. It's like a distraction. It raises a lot of questions.
I'm almost thinking it naming, um, so it's for your friend Saif. Then you're also bringing up Hassan. There's two guys in this, but all you're doing is raising money for one of those two guys so far. I almost like cut Saif entirely. You can get straight to the like, is there not a more interesting story you could tell about the operation of your international NGO?
Hmm. I think this comes back to most people's desire to explain the origins of whatever they're doing now, as opposed to talking about what they are doing now.
Instead of starting in the middle of the story. This is, oh, by the way, Ben, this is 2014. Why are we going back to 2014?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is because it's, and I mean, okay, it is you founding the thing, but we're willing to buy that you founded the thing if we see you later running the thing,
Yeah.
which the thing is bigger than this one story of you reaching into your wallet and giving $40 to your friend.
Like, we'll see what happens when
Right,
Kevin goes
exactly.
further. And if Kevin dives into the thing and we get much more of what's going on now, I would be willing to grant him a few sentences to explain how this started, to explain his interest in this field, in the Middle East, in gay issues and so forth. Like, but again, I don't know that he would need it, but I'd be willing to grant him some, but I doubt that he needs to like unpack this as much as he is, right? It's like so
Right. It
much
just
detail.
it's a little right, which facts are good, and this is
Hmm.
really full of facts.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome, but I do think it just maybe what we're talking about is just get out the scalpel and just kind of cut some of this. I have a feeling
Mhm.
you could just lose whole sentences and but leave half of it or something because close to 800 words here, Ben. What is the typical word count supposed to be?
It's like 500, 750,
Yeah, so
five
some
to
schools
700.
allow
Yeah.
longer, but this is seeming like kind of a lot.
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
all right, that's the first paragraph. Oh,
That's the
is
first
it?
paragraph. Well,
Okay.
hold on. Let's see. Over the next 20 months, we paid for his rent and school expenses while connecting him to a legal pathway to enter the United States where he now lives. I mean, actually, that's even more interesting than the fundraising. Sending someone money seems much easier than figuring out how to help him get to the United States. So, anyways, just a random thought about that.
I'm looking forward to getting to the bigger stuff. I have a feeling that there's bigger stuff that this international NGO has done.
Mhm.
And I just want to make sure that that's actually there. So I'm hoping that we get to that stuff instead of this one like smaller anecdotal thing.
Yeah. At the time I met Hassan, I also recruited my friend and former college classmate Clara. I don't know that we need that extra
This is the
detail.
third new person that Kevin has introduced us to.
Yeah. Who was getting her graduate degree in nonprofit development to advise on fundraising.
That's
In
a
the
clunky
spring,
sentence.
yeah, it's really long too.
Recruited, and then there's so many words until you get to the two. At the time I met Hassan, I also recruited my friend to advise on fundraising.
Yep.
But you put in friend and former college classmate Clara, who was getting her graduate degree in nonprofit development, before you get to why did you contact her?
Hmm.
Okay.
In the spring of 2014, again, we're still back in the past, Hassan, Clara, and I decided to establish an organization and called it Rainbow Street.
But you could just be operating Rainbow Street instead of telling me these historical details about
Yeah.
the founding of the organization. It's a lot easier to found an organization than it is to build it up into something impressive or operate it once it is something impressive.
Yeah. Imagine this. What's more impressive? What Google is doing today or its founding story? I
Or on a much
mean,
smaller
people
scale,
like
Ben,
that.
on a much smaller scale, what's more impressive, LSAT Demon or me making photocopy, print, like having a printer and like printing out copies of tests for my 9 people that I had in my first class in the back room of in in 2009 in the Mission
Yeah.
District of San Francisco on Folsom Street in the back room of a restaurant. What would you
I
rather do?
reached out to my friend who was in real estate prospecting, and he suggested that I go to this hotel for this classroom, and
Having a
I
whole
decided to call
website
it.
with a big global thing and like big classes of people, like, is that more impressive, or is it more impressive that I had to delay the start of my first class because I didn't have full enrollment, and so I had to call the 4 people who were registered and say, hey, do you mind if we start 2 weeks later? And they said yes. Like, is that that doesn't make me look like a baller at all. Not that I'm a baller at all, but surely the bigger enterprise is more impressive than the founding moment. So this is just a lot of historical small scale stuff here.
By the way, we were just working on the events page yesterday, and we were talking about time zones. So all the
Yeah,
time zones will be reported in the user's time zone, right, as opposed to the way it is now, with the Eastern time and all that.
that's
And
good.
they're like, "What time zones do we need?" I was like, "Honestly, we have people everywhere, so we're just gonna have to use a master list as opposed to like just Eastern,
We probably
Pacific."
should
Yeah,
use 24 time zones. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
we have
people
them all.
are all over the place, especially now. So
Yeah.
I wonder what time zones we don't have. That'll be interesting to see where our, I mean, obviously the US time zones are going to be the most popular, but
Hmm.
I wonder if we'll have just a desert. Oh, out in the ocean, probably. There's like time zones where nobody lives.
I wonder that actually. That's a good point. But people are on their boats, on their yachts. They got to do their LSAT demon. So
True.
anyway, so he continues. Over the next 6 months, I recruited a board of directors, wrote the founding documents, successfully applied for 501c3 status, and launched a website. Okay, in the fall, I organized fundraising events and workplace giving campaigns that attracted a loyal base of grassroots donors.
Loyal
Fundraising,
base of grassroots donors. The adjectives are a little annoying.
yeah. Kevin likes to describe his things, I guess. Fundraising success allowed us to increase our shelter caseload. Our shelter caseload in Amman and expanded to Beirut, Tunis, and Baghdad. After 4 years of managing the organization while working full time at Google, I made the decision to work exclusively for Rainbow Street. Wow, that's actually okay. So this has become a thing, right? If you can quit your job and start working for the nonprofit you started, that's a thing. It's not like a solo enterprise.
But I mean, what if we started at that point?
Sure, why not? Yeah, the
In
day you decided to
2016,
stop.
or wait,
Hmm.
sorry, over the next 6 months
Four
in the
years, right?
fall. Oh, 4 years. Okay.
So this is
So,
2018 or something, maybe, or
first sentence
2019.
of your statement could have said, in 2018, I quit my job at Google to run my international NGO, Rainbow Street, full time.
That's badass.
I mean, that's not the
We have
exact
no
words,
questions
but
too either. It's not like, oh, I wonder if it was a solo operation. No, it's
we can
like,
beat that as far as like the actual words. But the idea is like that moment of boom,
mhm.
you're quitting your job at Google, already a badass for even having a job at Google, quitting a job at Google to go work full time at the NGO that you founded. Great. Like, why am so then leave out the part where you built the website, leave out the part where you applied for 501c3, like you
Wrote the founding documents actually sounds pedestrian. Look, it's good that you're providing these details, but given what you have or could talk about, you shouldn't be talking about these things. You
cut the
should be talking
first
about,
paragraph and a half and start with,
yeah,
I quit my job at Google to work full time at this NGO that I founded.
yep.
All right, go ahead.
Fundraising success allowed us to increase. Okay, I read that. After, okay, blah, blah, blah. I made the decision to work exclusively for Rainbow
That's where
Street
we should start.
soon. Yep. Soon after, I submitted grant proposals to the US State Department and the Canadian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Think about how much more impressive that is than writing founding documents. Anyone can do that
And
with Google
naming all
Zoom.
your random friends.
Yeah. Both were successful. I'd cut that. It's a conclusion. Let's just talk about what happened. The following year, I hired our first paid program staff. And this year, I'm managing the organization with an annual budget of $180,000, on track to serve a bigger caseload than ever. We are the longest lasting region-wide resource for LGBTQ people seeking direct services in the Middle East and North Africa.
I got a problem.
Yeah, go for it.
Annual budget of $180,000.
Small.
I thought he was making more than that at Google. Now that's the entire budget of his organization, that he quit Google to work at this organization full time. I think he just needs to leave out the budget.
The precise number.
It's problematic. Why does he need to name? He thinks $180,000 is like an impressive number, but it's the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
I'm not belittling his accomplishments at all. What I'm saying is his story just took a shift in a weird direction for me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't people at Google who work on speech recognition technology make a lot of money?
Yeah.
And now, if he's paying himself $0 because he can to run this organization, that's great. But I still don't think that the including the $180,000 is not having the effect that I think he thinks it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.